NASA scientist Amitabh Ghosh joins me now from Washington, D.C. Many thanks for speaking to us on Al Jazeera. What was your reaction when you heard about these missions to Venus?
So it's a fascinating development, I think. When you think of NASA, we think of Mars and Mars landings, but we often forget that Earth has another neighbor, which is Venus, and it's a fascinating planet we know very little of. So the temperature on Venus is more than 300 degrees centigrade, the surface temperature. It is still volcanically active. It is still tectonically active. Very interestingly, there was a signature of a gas called phosphine, which might be the hint of possible life on Venus. So this whole announcement of two missions. So the first mission will just go through the atmosphere and then measure various characteristics at various layers of the atmosphere. And then finally, before crashing, we'll take pictures of the surface. And the second mission is going to go around Venus and take pictures of the surface and map the surface in detail. So I think it's very exciting. And I think right at the end of the decade, 2028, 2030 range, it will change our understanding of Venus. And the other very interesting part of Venus is, see, on Earth, we talk of greenhouse effect. Venus might be a case where greenhouse effect happened to absolute conclusion. So on Earth, the carbon dioxide is less than 0.1%. On Venus, it is 96%. So it might be what Earth will look like if Earth's greenhouse effect went into a runaway mode.
So this mission actually helps us better understand Earth. Is that right?
Absolutely. It helps us do the climate modeling as to why did the Earth turn out the way it did? Why did Mars, for example, now we have a little better understanding. Why did Mars lose all its atmosphere? It was just like Earth, had oceans, had water, had probably rivers and as well. Why did it lose its water? And same for Venus, we will know what is it in Venus that caused this runaway greenhouse effect, and could it happen on Earth as well?
And what is then the difference on Venus to Mars? Because as you say, there has been a lot of focus on Mars, a lot of missions to Mars, but now we're focusing on Venus. What can we learn from Venus that we haven't learned from Mars?
See, it's a very different. See, there's no present volcanoes on Mars, whereas on Venus, there are explosive volcanism as we speak. Mars on the surface is very cold. Here it is more than the boiling point, so more than 300 degrees centigrade. So it's very different planets. The gravity of Earth and Mars are of Mars and Venus are of the same order. So it is knowing two different N members. On Mars, we know it lost its atmosphere for a specific set of reasons. It will be very interesting to know that whether the atmosphere on Venus, for example, was like the atmosphere of Earth, and then something happened, and the concentration of carbon dioxide increased spectacularly, and then it became a very hot planet.
Very interesting. How challenging a mission is it to carry this out? Because, as you say, it's an incredibly inhospitable climate.
It is a very challenging mission. Just because the temperatures are so high and there is sulfuric acid in the atmosphere, which is highly corrosive, it is the spacecraft has to be very well built. Particularly, this has to fall through the atmosphere to be able to measure it. So it has to be very well insulated, the spacecraft, very well tested. But, NASA has done harder things. They've gone to Saturn with Cassini, they've gone to Mercury with Messenger. And so, NASA has a track record to be able to do this. But it doesn't take away from the fact that, for example, it will be very hard to land something on Venus. Can you imagine at 350 degrees centigrade how hot it is?
Yeah.
How could you land and have all your electronics working, right?
Absolutely.
So it is going to be difficult.
Amitabh Ghosh, really, really interesting to talk to you. Amitabh Ghosh speaking to us there from Washington, D.C. He is a NASA scientist. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. My pleasure.